News, released an article. It says first AI ransomware prompt locked uses OpenAI GPT OSS 20B model for encryption, and it goes through how this attack works. And these are from the good folks over at ESET Research that actually saw this and found it. Now, whether this is the first time that this has actually been used in the wild, I would doubt that. But I guess it may be the first documented case of it.
Yeah, so I think in that article, it specifically talks about how the way ESET found it was not, with it not being leveraged in an actual ransomware attack, they found the sample on VirusTotal.
Oh.
And then they were doing the review of the sample, and they found all of the information that suggested that it was being written by a GPT or an AI model.
So I guess the kind of the so vibe coding for ransomware has been around for a little bit, I would think. Like, yeah. I think, attackers are using AI to generate code and PowerShell scripts and things like that. And I think that's been around for a little while. This is the first example I've seen where it actually calls back to like ChatGPT and does a post command back to the API endpoint to basically say, hey, this is what I'm up against, write a thing for this. And I think it spits it back out, and I think it deploys it. I don't know how successful it is.
So the article specifically talks about, and I think there is a point that like a security researcher, and this may have been debunked at this point, but a security researcher did come out and say, hey, that was my like test code that got leaked on VirusTotal.
Okay.
On how to deploy it, because what they were doing is they were reviewing it, and it had like weak encryption. I think it was using like 128 bit like encryption model that wasn't very good. There were several like mistakes within like the prompts that just seemed like very basic.
Yeah.
And so it was a test case. Now, if it was a security researcher's test case, that's a different story. And as what you were saying regarding AI being leveraged in attacks, yeah, it's been done a ton of times. I mean, you've got, I know in several cases, AI has been used to identify sensitive data within people's environments for data exfiltration, which again, not exactly ransomware, but one of the earlier stages in ransomware attacks.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I mean, we've seen some PowerShell scripts come across our consoles that kind of look like, this looks AI generated. There's stuff out of place, on some of this stuff. So yeah, it's been around a while, but yeah, first documented case of that. How do we feel about this is the future of ransomware?
Anybody else? But anyway, I do think, funnily enough, me and Jason were having a conversation earlier, and this goes back to a conversation that I was having with with our CTO, probably last year or the year before, was the idea that the way I see AI being leveraged by attackers is not just in them using it in vibe coding ways and trying to generate malware quicker and like the speed and velocity in which they can develop that stuff. Surely that's already being done. But the idea of leveraging models in that exact way, where you've got malware planted on a machine that makes callbacks to an API endpoint, be that like an attacker hosted model or even just jailbreaking legitimate models, to do like polymorphic malware. Like it rewrites itself as it discovers different things. And I think this is going to be a fun thing as we continue to get into some of the conversations that we're going to have with Jason. But it identifies certain roadblocks, if you will, as it goes through it. And then it just rewrites itself using that ChatGPT or, attacker hosted model to basically thwart whatever roadblock is in its way.
I think that polymorphic code has been the holy grail of, virus writers, devs, all that stuff for a lot of years. I don't know that it's ever been truly polymorphic, but I know that there's been examples of like callbacks to a server to say, okay, this is not Windows, say 2012, this is Windows 2008. What do I do now? Right. And it kind of injects the code or changes the code and then goes back to it. But I think AI does offer that possibility that we could be looking at true polymorphic code, because it's only going to get better, right?
Well, if you were able to find a way to get like an agentic model, and this was specifically what we were talking about, is that when the big ARM craze came out, and I know Donald was all into that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But a big reason for all those ARM processors were the idea of being able to run the models on device.
Yeah.
And so if you were able to get like an agentic model sitting on a device, either a corrupted model that's on the device or something that you placed yourself, that could then call back to like a C2 model, that the agentic model is doing all of the discovery on the device, and then it sends back to the C2 model what it finds.
Right.
And then that C2 model orchestrates what that agentic model is doing on the device. And then so you could have it rewrite its entire self based off those